It's still really calling for snow next week.
Oh gosh, I'm going to Chicago.
Thursday snow. Figures my day off. Can't snow on the day I'm supposed to go to work.
Okay. I think we're live, by the way, so be on your best behavior. Yeah. Oh goodness.
Try real hard here.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll wait a little bit and get started.
Well, wait and see if someone actually shows up to watch.
Oh, we've got some people already joining, but
that's a miracle.
Yeah. If you're joining, we'll be there in a second. Oh.
I have important things to do, like go over my Pinterest. This is what we do while I'm waiting for him to get his stuff together.
Hey, I do all the work. You just show up.
And you know what? And you have yet to produce cookies. I'm just saying. See a snack to see some nice warm cookies would be just like.
Yes, it would
make it all worthwhile.
Okay. So it's the camera's going to drive people nuts.
Why? Because your face is in it?
Well, because it's actually focusing in on the computer and not. So I wonder.
Oh, I see. It looks a little foggy. It's hard for me to see it.
It's okay. Hey, guys, just stay with us. We're figuring this out. We're going to go right there. Is the computer still in it?
No.
Okay. And I've got to turn this down. We'll turn it back up later.
Whenever I start to get icicles on my whiskers.
It's not that cold out. It's 80 in here now.
It does not feel like 80.
Well, gosh, we're close now.
Yeah.
It needs more of me. And we'll back up a little bit. There we go.
Is anyone dizzy yet?
Still a little bit more of me.
You can lean in. Not that close.
Okay. Goodness. We got a lot to talk about. This is the first time we've
done.
Well,
we've done this before.
It was like 5 years ago.
Has it been that long?
Yes. 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Yes. 2016.
I got a lot of compliments on my beard back then.
Not really. That was me.
You ever had a beard?
I did. Well, I did the no shave. And my wife said, don't ever do that again. Yeah. Because I looked too much like a stud and she could not control herself.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to get started in a second, guys. This is going to be the Prepping Academy radio show. And we're going to film it.
So it's like a television show? Yeah. Not really.
We're hitting big time.
Yeah.
We are big time.
How many people are actually watching?
You know, I wasn't even going to put this part of the show, but maybe we should. I was going to kind of do an intro, but I can do the intro later.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, people are talking. Not dizzy. So wait. I got to open up a document here that is kind of my go-to thing. I mean, I actually did homework for this.
Oh, that's a first.
Yes. And you know what? And I had it last night at the, I taught last night. You were there.
You did.
But I didn't have the updated version.
I'm just going to say, this is a complete side note. Did you see how much food I ate last night?
I noticed that you ate. Then you ordered dessert. And you know what? I didn't even end up eating.
No, I noticed that.
Yeah.
I had a salad. I had that huge plate of fettuccine. And I had a giant piece of pie.
I know. And I was going to order pickles, but I didn't. I never, by the time.
They're not that great.
They were pretty good.
I think I've ordered them before.
So, okay, we're going to talk all things pandemic. We're going to talk about the coronavirus. We're going to talk about things that we've thought about this a lot.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of research on this. I would almost say that I'm a doctor right now. No. No. Okay.
No.
Okay.
You could wear one of those shirts that says FBI, female, something. No.
We got
That's as close as you are to being a doctor.
Some supplies back here. These are just the ones I had here.
Yeah.
So
just to seal yourself.
Hey,
in
if
here.
you don't mind, you're blocking my legacy name over there. No one can see the legacy. Come on, man.
Did you get to it?
No. Okay. So we're gonna get started. Hey, where's everyone from? If you don't mind, this is gonna be kind of weird on a podcast though, but it's gonna be fine. We can do this.
Yeah, we can still do this. Well, I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
Oh yeah, I'm going there Monday.
Yeah. Don't freeze.
Ooh, gosh, I'm
Don't
starting to
eat
get
too
cold.
much.
So
I love that food.
we're in a bug out location that's centrally located near my house.
Yeah.
It's not my bug out location. Mine is
No.
in Miami, Florida.
And it's not my bug out location.
But this is kind of a little man cave out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Yeah. Something awkward, just for those right now. When we don't have a restroom in my man cave
True.
or bug out. What do we call this? Bug out shack?
Yeah, bug out shack. Shack's probably the appropriate term for it.
It's not. And so someone had to go use the restroom. Then I had to go, and I'm like, oh, where did you go? Because I didn't. And so I've never had that
It could
happen
be
here.
awkward for wildlife walking by and it smells two of the same scent, similar
Well, I
scents.
wanted to make sure I
Mine
didn't go
smells
where
like
you
coffee
went.
though, so I'm
Oh,
just gonna say
I just didn't want to go where you went. And so anyway, that is
I've had a lot of caffeine. Lot of caffeine.
Germany, Nebraska, Charleston, West Virginia. If I see,
Guten Abend.
oh come on, I don't see their names. Oh yeah, I do. I see a few people I know. Okay, if I see any of my usual mods, let me know. So I don't pay attention to this.
This is going to be distracting.
This is going to be very distracting. It is, but I've got my notes right here. So I taught this last night in the Charlotte meetup. And did you see the photo I posted?
No.
Okay, I got to show you because it is hilarious. And I think so.
Eating pasta?
I said, here's the photo. Oh no, y'all can't see that.
No,
anyway,
they can't see it.
But it's on our Facebook page. I said that's PrepperNet's meeting next month.
It might be.
Everyone's
It
down
really
in
might be.
suits with goggles and masks and gloves, Tyvek suits, everything. That's going to be our PrepperNet meeting next month in Charlotte. It's kind of funny. So at least I laughed.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready to get started?
I am. And the first thing I'm going to say is
I look good.
I didn't sleep.
Oh,
I literally
I
slept for
scared
about
the crap out of you last night, didn't I?
No. You didn't. I know all of this stuff already because I've been researching on my own. But sitting there and listening to some of the people, and even when I talked afterwards on the phone, and you know some of my feelings for some of those things.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But holy crap.
Yeah.
I think pandemic is one of those things that I didn't really think that much that it would happen.
Mm-hmm.
I figured, EMP will happen first. Social unrest, Civil War, World War III, huge earthquake, something like that. The pandemic freaks me out a bit. The biggest problem is, as you'll get into the facts, is the idea that someone could literally be carrying this for 24 days and be asymptomatic, and you could be right there. And it kind of actually hit kind of close to home.
And we'll get to that.
Yeah.
It does hit close to home.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get to that for sure. So anyway, I want to check. Can you hear us both about the same? Because I talk louder. That's why I put the microphone closer to you.
They're never going to hear us both the same because my voice
sounds like a little female.
Sexy.
Oh, dude.
And this is what happens every time.
Yes. That's why it's so good to we do a podcast. We're like right across from each other.
Yeah.
And we don't touch.
No.
There's
a piece of wood that goes down the middle of the table, so he's not allowed to play footsie anymore because that used to happen.
Yes. Yep. Okay. We're going to get going. Let's see here. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to bring up my kind of sheet that we were going over last night, and we're going to talk about it. So I'm a big fan of this guy named Dr. Hatfield. Have you watched the videos?
No.
He's been on Bannon. Is it Bannon?
Bono?
Is it Bono?
No. I can't remember the name.
Anyway, we posted it.
Yes.
This guy is a genius. He used to work for the U.S. Army lab where they do all the virus testing and management and all that.
Is it Hatfield or Hatfill?
Hatfield,
Hatfield?
like the Hatfields
And
the
McCoys?
Corys.
Huh.
Yes, yes. Yeah, he's a descendant. I have no idea.
I was gonna hook me up with some moonshine.
But and he's written a book, but he is awesome. And he's on this one show, and I can bring it up. I can share my screen on this software.
Oh, fascinating.
But there's some amazing things going on, and a lot of people don't look. Sure, we're going to talk about supplies and what we need and what you don't need, but then we're going to talk about some other effects that people don't think about.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get to that. So the first thing, let me bring up the update right here. The update says, this is the China update. And how is this accurate?
Oh, I don't think so.
So China, they're saying right now, this is the Johns Hopkins University. You guys have probably seen the map. 67,000 people are infected. 1,525 deaths and 8,126 have recovered. But are you kidding me? There's some alarms here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first alarm is this, and we're just going to throw these out there. People have recovered and gotten sick again.
Yeah. And
that has happened now multiple times. So as soon as they release the cruise ship people or, someone in America, what they're finding is that they could get sick again because people have. Well, imagine even getting well and being able to spread the virus.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Typhoid Mary sort of situation.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm seeing out of like different doctors, CDC, who people talking about this are saying this might be something that's not a few months from now. It could be literally here going into the next year and just continuing to spread until it's a community virus.
Goes through the population.
Yep.
Well, the good thing is the death rate is not. We're not so.
That we know of.
That is true. That is true. That's why they're looking at Singapore a lot, because Singapore right now, oh gosh, they went up. Dang it. Singapore is a hotbed, and it's summertime and it's still multiplying.
Yeah.
Which is, I even saw Donald Trump said, well, hopefully summer will get here and this thing will disappear. The problem is it's in Singapore summer and is not disappearing. It's actually multiplying.
Yeah. That'll be one of the most telling things to really see.
67 is a high number. Just a few days ago, it was in the low 20s. So that's crazy. I mean, anyway, that is Singapore. 0 deaths though. So with that said, let me go back to my sheet here. You got something. I can see you getting ready to say something. They said there's 100 million under quarantine. That means they're locked in a room or building, or you can't come out. What are they doing to keep people in their buildings?
From what we've seen, they're actually welding their doors shut.
They're welding the door shut. And
but here's the thing. I feel like maybe they have listened to me years ago.
But you hate people. Wait a second.
No, because I specifically remember talking about this one time on Blog TV like 10 years ago. I said something about rich people going into bunkers. And I said, great, well, let's get concrete and pour it over the top. And we'll never hear from them again.
But they're welding people in their high rises.
Yeah, there was actually a woman that was trying to escape and unfortunately did not make it.
She fell from 15 stories.
Yeah.
Yep. They're also arresting people. Today I saw like a chain gang of people handcuffed and then handcuffed to the with a rope or something. They're all walking along and they're walking them into the hospital.
Yeah. That
is crazy. The biggest problem over there is the healthcare system is about to crash. They have over, I think it's 1,500. Did you say 1,500?
2,000.
2,000 healthcare workers that have the virus. Yeah. How can they provide care when they're sick?
Well, here's the thing. We were talking about this last night too, is these doctors, and nurses, from what we've seen, they're not taking off their uniforms really. I mean, obviously they have to
they're sleeping in them.
But at some point, even the precautions they're taking,
Right.
they're still getting sick.
Right. Oh, you looked at the camera.
I did.
I
See,
forget.
Oh. I feel like it should be a little lower, but
well,
I mean, it's okay.
It was hitting the
Don't adjust it.
Yeah,
it's too late.
It's fine. It's a little. We're blurry. That's better. Anyway, but yeah, they were sleeping in their suits.
Yeah.
And so there's a room of like 40 people sleeping completely in their little Tyvek suits, whitey tidies. They're Tyvek suits like this. They're sleeping in these things, and with their goggles, with their gloves on, the whole works. The reason is they don't have a resupply if they take them off to put back on. And in the mask they're using, the N95 masks, they're good until you can't breathe in them because it kind of clogs the holes up.
You know, I didn't get to mention this last night, and really important fact, because for those of us who sport a wonderful beard, if you're actually wearing one of those masks, it doesn't really do you any good.
Oh,
unless you actually.
Would you shave? Would you shave it in a pandemic?
No, I'm just going to the woods. I don't care. Going to the woods.
But they don't have enough supplies, and we also learned from Dr. Hackett and others that most of the N95 mask, the regular hospital mask, they're made in China. There's only one company in America that makes them, and they provide 7% of the N95 mask. So here's the thing, guys. I'm going to say this right now. If you don't get one in the next month, you will not have an N95 mask for 4 to 5 months. They will not be available. The medical in America and the Army, they're going to take everyone that comes in. And right now, they're not even making them overseas. And the ones that are made in America, the guy said it would take me a year to get to 20% production for the America. He's at 7. It'd take him a year to get to the 20%. So if you don't get one in the next few weeks, you won't see one on the shelves, plain and simple.
Yeah, I was looking earlier with someone, we were talking about it, and I think they were going on Amazon for like $14 a pop.
Mm-hmm.
By comparison, I think whenever I bought some, they were like, I don't know, $5 for a 3-pack, something like that.
Yeah. So I went on Amazon because before I taught last night, I went to 2 Home Depots, 2 Lowe's, and 1 Walmart, and they were all out except the Walmart had a pack of 5 for $14. Not a bad price. They all had goggles. But the goggles, people are buying the wrong goggles. We're going to get to that. The goggles, the gloves, the Tyvek suits, they have all that, but the masks, they're out. So I went on Amazon yesterday before I went to the meeting and looked. I found a company that said that they had them. I looked them up. I called them because it has where the company you're buying it from. And I said, if I buy these, do you have them? Can you send it out? They said, yes, we'll have them to you by tomorrow. So I'm getting some masks tomorrow. I didn't order a huge bit. I mean, I did, but I'm not.
Did you get the PrepperNet logo on all of them too?
Yeah, they're all going to be. They're being monogrammed with the P right there with the valve.
But I can see you doing that though.
Yeah, and then we're going to sell them for $20 a piece.
Yeah,
yeah.
I can see that.
But the reason I have some, you have some, we've always had some. A pandemic is cheap to prep for because you already have the food because you're doing that for other things.
Honestly, I prep more for NBC stuff than I did for.
Yes.
And I mean, exactly. that falls in there, but this is not something I really thought was going to be a big deal.
And so if you took the Tyvek suits, the footies, the gloves, the mask, all that, you're going to spend $300 max for a family. I mean, that's maybe 10 Tyvek suits.
Yeah. And
mask, you could get 100 masks in there. And so anyway.
And here's the thing, and I'm going to say this.
Okay.
Because what irritated me last night. And I'm not going to get too specific.
Okay.
But don't have any fantasies if a family member gets it or is showing symptoms of it. Don't get any fantasies of you're going to be able to quarantine them and somehow treat them without you already getting it because it's already in their system. I mean, if I have it, I've already have it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Right.
So are you going to take the time to try and seal me in this room and then go back into your house?
No, we did talk about that because what if a family member is being released from the hospital and you want to quarantine them longer, Or what if a family member or it's comes in and you do have time to rush them right in the room?
Here's the thing. If it can survive on a surface
for 9 days, 9 days,
I guarantee you it's traveling through air vents.
Yes. And they're saying
it's going to go through central air. It's going to go through pipes.
Gosh.
There's not really a chance.
So I'm going to write this down because I need to bring this back. But we got to talk about that later. Yes. And so they're saying it went through some pipes. Mm-hmm. They're saying a guy walked downtown Singapore. There's a story. It's on the internet. You can read it. He walked downtown, didn't know he had it. He went home, kind of got it started. And then I think he traveled somewhere else. But just from him walking downtown Singapore, 14 people got it.
No.
That's crazy.
From what I read, and I haven't heard anything as far as proximity because they're not really releasing that to what you can catch it. But if someone comes in contact with it for 2 seconds,
yeah,
I don't know if that means you touched it because we see them running around licking doorknobs and stuff.
Oh my gosh, there's some more videos, guys. If y'all haven't seen this, you need to join PrepperNet's Facebook page. We put videos on there. There are people, hundreds of people going to elevators, doors, licking product, taking their hand, licking it with their tongue, and spreading this everywhere in China.
I feel bad because I almost feel like maybe some of them watch or listen to the podcast.
Yeah,
I did say about licking things and licking people, and I really didn't mean to actually do that, guys.
Dude, yeah, Kyle is a very sick individual. He needs help. Send money. No. But it's crazy what is going on over there. So, also, when you clean surfaces, everyone's saying use Lysol. The CDC, Dr. Hatfield, and some of these other brain trusts said, no, not yet. You need to use 10% bleach, 90% water.
And specifically, I didn't get to say this last night. Everyone that I've been listening to, doctors and whatnot, they're saying germicidal bleach, not your standard household bleach, germicidal bleach that you can get from like Lowe's or Home Depot. It is a different quality strength.
Right. Well, they said that Clorox, would work. They did. Some of them did. But here's the thing. What I think the difference is, they're saying the bleach that you do 10% bleach, 90% water, is you just can't wipe it once. It needs to stay in contact with the surface for seconds, like 9-10 seconds. They're saying make sure the surface is wet.
Yeah.
Not just a wipe like a Clorox wipe.
What'll happen is the longevity of it actually being wet will change the entire environment. So if you go back over and say this table has it on there, you allow it to soak for that 2 minute time period. It is continuously killing that bacteria. If you go through here and you wipe it dry, you've smeared the bacteria around, and then it's going to continue to propagate. It's like a petri dish. It's just going to continue to grow, even though you diminished it 80%.
Don't be scaring the people. No, but they say 9 days. So, oh my gosh, if you order something from China, it can be sent air, and you can get it within 9 days. You can.
Yeah.
It's just.
A lot of people were saying they are paying attention to what they're getting on Amazon and trying to make sure that it's locally here.
Right. But on the surface for 9 days, that's just the new data. And I do have a new report. Is it time to share that?
Well, one second. I will say one other thing that works well. It's called fire.
Fire. Okay. I want to read this new report right now. This just came out. If you don't have this service, you are missing. You're behind. Every time something is going on, you are missing something. You're just behind. This came from Alerts USA about 30 minutes ago. And it says San Diego, California has declared a health emergency and local emergency in response to the coronavirus outbreak. 2 more cases are being treated at UC San Diego Health Center. So they're concerned, and I know why it's probably an emergency, because these probably were out in the population meeting with family, went to school, and all of a sudden they got these 2, and I don't know, but I'm thinking that's probably what's happened.
San Diego, I looked up real quickly. It has a population of like 4.5 million people.
Dang.
Yeah.
And that just came out on Lurch. He'll say, I don't know if it's in any of the other news agencies or not.
From what I looked, it wasn't in there yet.
Okay, I do have to say this too.
Yeah.
So you ever have the moments and you go, dang, that's pretty cool. So someone came up to me after the meeting and said, hey, I thought that was really cool. And I'm not saying I've made it by any means. That's not where I'm going with this. But they said that was really cool that you really picked up the phone. We had a question and we called Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy on the phone and asked them some questions. I mean, experts in our field.
Yeah. Yep.
And someone came up to me afterwards and said that was pretty cool.
Yep.
And I'm like, and I thought about it. I'm like, it is pretty cool. I used to,
it's nice to have those connections.
Yeah.
Networking brought to you by Facebook.
I pay them money though to be able to do that. That phone call cost me $500. Okay. So let's go to my list real quick. The N95 mask. There are some, we want to talk about some of the different things. Let me see here. I just want to, it could be, you know what? Let me, okay. I just got a text. I kid you not. This is totally unscripted from this guy named Joe. Do y'all know who Joe is? Dr. Bones. Mm-hmm. And he goes, can we join in the discussion? So we'll bring him in a minute. I think we can do that. Joe, if you're there, give me 1 minute. We got a couple more things to cover and we'll bring in Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy. That is, I mean, do you not see it? Yep. It just came in.
Yep.
So that anyway, works well. So a couple more things I want to go over though, and then we'll bring in Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy. Sweet. So let's talk about the medicine.
You literally put vitamin C.
There is no vitamin C made in America. None.
I don't know why everyone's worried about vitamin C.
Well, it's not just vitamin C. Diabetic insulin. It's other medicine. Most of our medicines are made in China now. And the lady, you remember I couldn't bring up her name last night?
Yeah.
And I think I have it right here. That wrote the book. And I cannot, her name's Rosemary Gibson, called China RX. China makes most of our drugs. So if China gets sick, which they're getting sick, they need everything that we need to protect ourselves. You think they're going to be sending it over here? No.
Same with those masks. I mean, if any actually do get produced, we're not going to get them.
No. And so a good thing is Donald Trump signed an executive order last year to start, it's a 5-year campaign, it's not overnight, to start bringing back some of our medical making facilities, or to research it. Sorry, it is to research it. It's not, I mean, to start bringing them back. That's a first step.
But by then, maybe we'll have a vaccine for it.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah. They're saying 100 and, what are they saying? 18 months?
18 months.
For a vaccine for
60
corona?
to 80% infection.
Yes. Yep.
Like 150 million, something like that.
So I'm talking, sorry guys. This is unscripted. We didn't know we were going to, this wasn't planned really, was it?
No. Otherwise it would have been like.
Yeah, because that's the way we roll. We're always smooth. Okay, let's see what else. So the N95 mask, you wear it once and once only, and you got to take it off properly. Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy, they do unbelievable training on that kind of stuff. One small company, I'm just reading some notes I had. Oh, our healthcare system is lacking or deficit of 50,000 healthcare workers right now. What do you have to say about that?
I don't really like to go to the doctors anyways, but I mean,
okay,
there's that.
Okay.
It's not shocking, but obviously we'd be really screwed.
Yep. Test kits are 50-50. There was a lady that was tested. 2 days later, she tested again and she had it.
Yeah. And she was walking around during that time, I think.
Yes, she was.
Maybe even took like an Uber.
Maybe so. Let's see here. I'm just looking at some of my notes. Okay. And let's just get the positive things. Okay. Last thing, and I'm going to send Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy. They're coming online.
Positive things?
Well, it's not positive, but here's the thing.
Let's say like easier to get vacation reservations.
Let me just throw a couple things at you. Two things. One is, I believe that 80% of the population in the world is going to get this. So if that's the case, I believe that. Now, the good thing is it's a low death rate that far as we know. So let's say it stays low, just like the flu, a number of people die. The question is then, when do you want to get it? I brought this up last night.
You did. And ideally, I don't want to get it. But at the same point, if everyone's getting it and it becomes something that really does become a community virus and just does not go away, then yeah, you want to wait until the
you want to wait to the end. Exactly. And so that's where the N95, isolating yourself, doing things now. This is a hint for you guys. You might have a job that if you go to your boss and go, hey, is there a way that maybe I can start working home from a little bit? Putting things in place to work from home more. Yeah. I mean, sometimes that takes months sometimes to get in place. Sometimes it's like boss goes, yeah, you don't do anything here anyway. Oh wait, that's just what they tell me. But so you can start doing things. But everyone's going to get it. And if it goes through the world, which a lot of people are saying it may do this, and it becomes like a flu kind of thing, then you want to get it at the end. You don't want to get it in the beginning. You want to get it when the healthcare system is ramped up. There's probably they know how to handle it. There could be a shot to help prevent it or to bring the symptoms down. So the idea is to wait to get it.
Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
Sounds like I was going to say, this is something that not necessarily that exact scenario, but I keep looking at that and I'm like, I'm waiting for you to talk about that because
the last thing,
that's something I'm kind of concerned with.
Okay. So one of the guys on the show that I watch, I've been watching videos, CDCs, I watched Tom Cotton, I've watched all this stuff that has been going on. And 5 days ago I was not alarmed about this, was I?
No, you were kind of blowing it off like most things.
I was.
Like, it's conspiracy hype.
Yes, until I started watching and reading, the experts, the Hatfields, the Tom Cotton, and then reading the WHO, and the WHO, one of the WHO reports, the WHO. And I've been reading all these reports, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to protect my family to extend the time that we get it. And I know it's not in America, but I mean, apparently in San Diego, they're having an issue right now, a state of emergency. And so I need to extend it. So what do I need to do for my family? One is the equipment, the gear.
Yep.
I got that. Two is your immune system. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Three is isolation. Maybe, it's not time yet, but there's ways to do that. But the other thing, you want me to talk about this now, don't you? So one of the guys said that people are a biological suicide bomber with this.
And this is one of the things where I've actually thought, how much do we actually have to worry about not just someone from Asia coming into the country with it, but how much do we have to worry about someone getting it, knowing they've gotten it, and then finding their way into America and going through airports and shopping malls and schools, etc.,
and licking and rails and sneezing on things on purpose, and that would be a nightmare. Here's the thing I want you guys to think about, and I think this is what scared most people. Take your little community, and we're going to say it's 100,000 people, and in the news tomorrow morning, you have 12 students in 5 different schools that have it, that were tested positive.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden in your community, all schools are going to be shut down. So what's that going to do to your job?
I'm just thinking long term,
because you got to stay home,
because no one's discussing this. Just to point out a few quick facts. Number one, the Chinese, this is a communist nation. The people are afraid of their government. Anything that would happen here that would be similar is going to be entirely different based on the fact that Americans aren't going to just stay at home.
Right.
They're very well armed, and resources are already fairly thin. We've talked about that. A number of things, just down to your basics at the grocery store. That bothers me. But talking about the stuff also raises the idea that China has an amazing surveillance state. And I don't know about you. I don't like being surveilled. I know you love your Facebook and everything like that. But does this not kind of feel like it's almost an excuse to enact something like that?
True. Yes. Yeah.
They could, literally, they could use, the government could seize databases with people's photos on like Facebook, other social medias, and say, we're going to use this to identify and track everything that you do and know that if you came into contact with something. How
can you take a pandemic and make it a conspiracy theory? This is the callaway, and it's the government.
I'm not saying it's the government's fault, but I'm just saying that there are things that for our safety, we give up our freedoms.
Right.
On a regular basis.
9/11, absolutely.
And it's complete fear mongering in some aspects. This one, it does concern me a little bit, but by no means do I think that we need to go under a surveillance state because of this.
Right.
But then again, that's saying that people have common sense.
True.
That's the other national deficit.
So here's another thing. So if 80% of the world gets this, 60 to 80% is what they say possibly could get it. So let's say that it's a 1 to 2% death rate. So how many people are in the world?
Like 7 billion.
Okay. So 5 billion of them would get it. And what's 1% of 5 billion? Like
5 million.
Like 200 million. Is that not the math? Am I doing this wrong? I'm a genius. I knew a genius once. So you got to turn your phone sideways on this one. So it's 5 billion. 5 billion times 0.01%. That's 50 million people. 50 million people. Sorry, that would die. 50 million if it goes to 5 billion, and that's a 1% death rate. So any other quick things here? Keep your eyes on Singapore. Okay. What else you got? You got anything else? Oh my goodness. So. Look. Oh wait, where'd they go?
Disappeared.
So where did y'all go?
We're here.
I hear voices.
I hear voices too. Oops. I got to figure out how to do this.
You're hearing voices, huh?
I'm trying to get out of the video.
That's a bad
we got to turn
sign.
you up. Hang on. Yeah. We got to turn you up.
I like that Joe's wearing his red for Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Yes. It's on Valentine's Day and you guys are out.
All right. We'll do this.
Hang on. I can't hear you guys yet. I've got to go in here and do a setting because I was not expecting.
My fault.
Output.
Microphone.
Like elevator music play from.
Okay. Are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yeah. It was our fault.
Hola, senor.
Hey, how are you guys tonight?
Oops.
What are we doing?
What'd I do?
That we have Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy. Well, I've got Dr. Bones and a microphone.
Yeah, there you.
Oh man, I somehow did something wrong.
Well, look, if they can't see me, it's actually
no,
probably
I did something wrong here.
Doing them a favor.
This is.
Are you there?
Well, I'm here.
All right.
All right, good. Well,
did y'all go out?
No.
Yeah, Kyle,
we've been home.
Kyle and I didn't either.
Meeting.
Oh, wait. How are other people joining?
That's us.
You're Joe. You're joining twice.
Oh gosh.
Amy, what are you doing?
I don't know how that happened.
I can boom. They're gone.
There you go.
Get rid of the other one. Okay, we're good.
Yes. Sit down. Then you move the microphone from your face. Hey Joe.
Hey, can you see me?
I can see you great. Yeah.
Oh, great. Good. All right. Well, that's all that matters. I mean, probably doing your audience a disfavor by putting my face on the old camera, but I'm here and
So we
what
got
are we
some
talking
questions.
about? I guess. Oh, here we go.
Oh, that's better.
We love the preparedness community. There you go. Right there. Proof right there.
Hey, hang on a second. Kyle, where's my Valentine gift?
There you
I
go.
can't see you, so
Oh, you can't see this?
just tell me what it is.
And nothing. Nothing.
Oh.
Hey, now that we've got you on, let me ask you some questions,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay.
The best.
Some of these came up last night, and thanks for taking my call last night. It made me look like I was somebody.
You are indeed. You are really one of the rock solid bases of Prepperdom. That's all I gotta say for all that you've done to put
Don't
communities
complain to say you got too
together.
much. His head
No,
literally just expanded.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
All
my,
right.
so one of the questions we have, it came up on our Facebook page today, is goggles. So there are goggles that are vented and some that aren't vented. Are the ones that are vented, are they safe?
The ones that are indirectly vented, like the ones that I have here, you see, if you can see me,
Yep.
you see how their vents are what we call indirect.
Okay.
That means they have a cover on them, but they are vented. So this is the kind that you should get. They are the safest. When you put them on, you basically hold it in one hand, the front in one hand, and then you just put it right over your head and make sure that it makes a nice tight fit.
So since you got that on,
now
since you got that on, show people how they would take it off as well.
very simple. Now you have to remember that the front of everything, your mask, everything else is going to be contaminated. So it's very important for you to go ahead and try to get the mask off without touching the front. And then you should have a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket, a Home Depot bucket will be fine, with some bleach solution. And guess what? You toss it right in there. So that's how you would do that. And this is very important. Now, you'll see on TV, if you ever seen the doctors that, have their masks on, they're in the emergency room, they're in the surgical suite. When they come out, they untie the top one and it just sort of hangs on your chest. Yep. Well, the front of that mask is contaminated. And so that is a very bad thing to do. You do not want to have the front of a mask on your clothes. So that's one very, very important thing.
Okay. Do you have a mask nearby? I
do. I have I have a number of different kinds. This is a typical one. It's a 3M 1870. And so basically what you're going to do with this one, if this is a completely clean one, what you're going to do is you're going to touch the face, then you're going to go up like this right over the crown, and then holding the front of the face, you're going to go below your ears, right across the nape of the neck. Then with both hands, you're going to go ahead and mold the mask to your face. And so to make sure that everything is nice and tight, the seal, that fit seal that I'm talking about, you touch your mask like this, and then you breathe deeply and see if you can get a little indentation in your mask. If you do, that means you got a pretty good fit. Now, then what you do is you blow out.
You blow snot out?
Yeah, well, if I did, you won't know because it's in the mask with me. But basically, what you're trying to do is see if there's any air that escapes around here, the bridge of the nose, the chin, under your chin. So that's basically how you're doing it. Now, notice that when I first put on the mask, I can hold the front because it is a clean mask. It's only afterwards that I have to actually take it off. And when you take it off, what you're going to do is first you're going to take off the bottom first.
Okay.
And then very carefully, not touching the front of the mask. And this can be tricky sometimes. You actually have to practice this because this, see that with a good tight fit, that mask sort of pops out and it could possibly have ended up I could have ended up touching it and getting contaminated. So it's very important to be careful about that.
Okay, a couple questions about the mask. But first of all, I want everybody to know Dr. Joe, he is a doctor. His wife is a nurse. And they're called Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy. They write books. They have some stuff on the website for sale. But you're a doctor. So let me ask you about the N95 mask. Will it stop viruses from going into your nostrils or mouth?
The N95 mask is meant to protect your nose and mouth, only your nose and mouth. That's why you have to have the goggles or a face shield as well. From 95, will block 95% of particulates that are less than 0.3 microns in size. Now, let's see if I can show you something right here. I think I've shown you this before, Forrest, but your audience here. This here, can you see this circle?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay, let's pretend that this circle represents the diameter of a human hair, that I cut a human hair in cross section and you're looking at it in cross section. All right. Now, do you see a dot?
Yes.
That's what a micron is. Well, a micron is 3 times as, that dot is 3 times as large as what would, remember, this is a diameter of a human hair, and that's not a dinner plate, it's a human hair. It's that small compared to the diameter of a human hair. And this will actually block particulates, 95% of them, that are a third of this size of that little grain of pepper there. So from my end, this is a very, very good mask to have. The thing though with coronaviruses that I have to let you know is that this can block 95% of particulates that are 0.3 microns in size or greater. The coronavirus is about 0.15 or 0.13 microns. It's actually smaller than the theoretical limit of this. But I know that this works. And how do I know that? Because there were studies done on doctors and other medical workers that helped with the MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome epidemic in 2012, I think. And they actually tested to see if wearing this mask would actually block it. Now, what they were testing actually is if the medical workers got sick. And they found that the medical workers who wore no mask or wore a standard surgical mask, they wound up getting MERS much more commonly than if they wore an N95, even though the theoretical limits of the N95 are 0.3 and the virus is 0.13 in size. And remember,
Gotcha.
the MERS virus is a related coronavirus. They're all in the SARS, MERS. They're all related in this one family called Coronaviridae.
Okay. So you, once you use the mask, you take it off, you use it again, right? By just brushing it off on the outside.
Well,
I'm kidding.
no.
I'm kidding. So you can't reuse a mask once you.
You can't reuse the mask. Let me put it this way: the company says you can't reuse it. It has never been reused in
Right.
normal times. And the last time that we had an epidemic that was worldwide, or a pandemic, worldwide pandemic, was in 1918. And in those days, they actually did have surgical masks, but they didn't know what to do with them. So I'll bet that they used them multiple times, and I'll bet not everybody died as a result of using a mask more than once. But the truth of the matter is that these things are not particularly meant to be used again and again. It's very hard really to get these things. I'll tell you, if you wear this for a few hours, after a while, the thing gets so humid inside that it's hard to breathe through it.
Right. So the one with the vent in the front is a better one for the fact that, yes.
Like this?
Oh, yeah, it has one. Yeah. So let's talk about gloves.
Okay.
Regular work gloves. What kind of gloves do we need? And while you answer this, I'm going to go across the shack here and turn on my heater. It's cold.
Okay. I wish I could say the same thing. It's probably about 80 degrees here. Well, listen, what you got to do with regards to gloves, your gloves should be, Well, I mean, if you're really going to be working with people that are really contagious, you should have sterile gloves. If you can't have sterile gloves, at least your gloves need to have what I call extended cuffs. We have gloves called VersaShield, and their gloves have cuffs that are about 12 inches, I believe. And why is that beneficial? Because let's say you're wearing coveralls and you're wearing standard gloves that end about here. Well, if I go like this, or if I go like that, or reach one way or another, you're going to wind up having a opening in the wrist area between the cuff of your end of the cuff of your coveralls and your gloves. And that's bad. And so having extended cuffs is the kind of glove that you would want if you were going to be working for long periods of time in coveralls with people that have contagious diseases. So there's a gap that conforms with regular old gloves that you can avoid having to worry about if you have the extended cuff gloves. They go down to about here.
So I was trained and learned to do two gloves. One glove goes, the first one goes down your arm, and then you put your Tyvek suit over that, and then the second one goes over the Tyvek suit. Is that what you would recommend?
That is exactly what I want you to do.
Okay.
I've written about this on our website, our book, Alton's Antibiotics and Infectious Disease. It's around here somewhere. I have in the section in the back of the book is actually about bacterial disease. It doesn't really pertain much to this, except that the back section of the book tells you exactly how I want you to put on and take off coveralls and all that personal protection gear.
Awesome. So, and then a Tyvek suit is a Tyvek suit, right? And the
There are
reason
different types of Tyvek suits.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, Tyvek coveralls are just fine. The kinds that the people use for painting and things like that. As long as they have, I like them if they have a hood, and I like them if their sleeves are tight. They have an elastic sleeve that gives you a sort of a tight fit.
Yep.
They also should come with booties, but despite coming with booties, that doesn't mean
Uh-oh.
that you don't need.
What the heck? Is that what you wear on Friday night when you go out partying?
Yeah, with my
Some bell
hot
bottoms.
pants. Yeah, I wear
Some bell bottoms. I can see Dr. Joe just out there dancing.
I'm a dancing fool,
Okay.
or just a fool.
Just a fool.
Hey, no bird in your room tonight?
No bird
just
right now.
Amy.
Just-
Amy.
She's
Okay.
still making some noise. Our bird, our African gray bird.
Okay, so we covered goggles.
Yeah. Got
Mask.
goggles, masks, suit.
So
booties.
what do you do if you have to use the restroom while you got the full suit on? I mean, what do you do?
Everything's off and start over all
Oh.
over again.
So
Yeah,
that sucks.
it sucks.
Yeah.
It really
It's-
is difficult. It's difficult because you just have to change these items regularly, especially if you're having to deal with anybody who has a lot of contagious disease.
So have you seen the photos where the workers are actually sleeping in their entire outfit? They're sleeping because they don't have anything to replace what they have.
Well, I'll tell you this about that.
Okay.
I read reports by Doctors Without Borders that helped out in the Ebola epidemic back in 2014. I actually wrote a book about it. And these guys could last about 40 to 50 minutes in their suit, all in their entire suit, which is not dissimilar to what I'm telling you that you should have for this, because of the heat. It just gets stuffy, it gets hot. It is really difficult to function for a very long time with the entire ensemble on. So you just have to be realistic. I think that it's in China. I don't know. I guess it's winter in China, right?
Right.
So therefore, I guess that's why they do that. But the truth is that those suits are so contaminated that, gosh, I just don't know how they can go in there and not just
Someone has a
get
question.
stuff all over everywhere.
Someone wants to know where you got the boots from.
Oh, these boots you can get from Home Depot. And let's see, they have a
It's on the side.
Uh-oh.
It's a circle.
Made
right
it-
there.
Made in China.
made in China,
I
but
know, but what's it?
it's
the
called,
brand?
looks like Paris, Pariis. Is that what that says?
I don't know. Let's put it up.
Huh.
Can you see that?
Yes, Perry.
Paris.
Paris.
Wow.
You're gonna be
Is
fancy
it?
No, I have
Hey,
no idea.
Kyle said Paris.
Pariis is what it looks like.
Gosh. Okay.
I've had 'em for quite a few years.
Yeah, I have black waders too. So, I mean, these
Okay.
are pretty good.
Did you hear the message I read just a few minutes ago about San Diego?
Uh-uh.
Okay, let me read this. This came from Alerts USA, Stephen at Alerts USA. San Diego, California has declared a health emergency and local emergency in response to the coronavirus outbreak. 2 cases are being treated at UC San Diego Health Center. This is brand new. This just came out. I'm thinking if there's a health emergency, these 2 people have been around a lot of people and they're realizing it and they're going, oh my goodness. And these people were just now found to have it. 2 more cases just within the last, about an hour ago.
It's very possible that indeed just having found people with the actual virus has triggered it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that these people had this virus originate here, or
Right.
if it originated elsewhere, that one of the 2 is actually a person who got the virus here and from human to human transmission here. So I'm not sure what is, I think the trigger for when they declare a public health emergency depends on the local commissions.
Mhm.
And if I was them, especially if it involves getting federal help, well, I would probably declare it pretty quick too. But first off, but do not think that this means that there's a community-wide epidemic going on in San Diego. There is not. There's only these cases and at the moment, and now we're just going to have to see. These people probably contacted 100 people, 200 other people, and those contacts have to be checked out now. So that's the process that has to occur.
And
Amy wants to say something.
Unfortunately, our stepdaughter, or my daughter, is in California right now.
Yes.
So I mean, I did send her N95s before she went. Hopefully she took them.
So let me tell you guys how close to home it is for us. Our wives, both of our wives, teach at a local church here. It's called We School. They're 2-year-old kids.
Cool.
One of the kids in my wife's class, mother just came back from China Saturday, this past Saturday. The CDC called it, put her on a 2-week stay at home, and the kid can't come to school as well. But that's close to home when our wives teach at a school where a parent came back from a hot zone.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing that I think is wise policy, and a good say, that being strict about those kind of policies is something that's new to us. Well, everything in the United States is about individual rights
And freedom.
Okay,
Right.
and basically that's not a big deal in China, or at least isn't a big deal to the government in China, and they'll do all sorts of restrictive things that we would consider to be pretty draconian.
Can you imagine shutting down New York City?
Exactly
happen,
right.
Honestly.
Chinese folk are very structured, and they're very polite, and they will do what their government tells them to do, because of course it's a repressive government
For the most part.
for the most part. Now I'm not making generalities here, but I think we would, in the same situation, have a lot more unrest than we're seeing in China right now, even though there are indeed people that are not happy in China.
You got it.
Certainly, I think we'd see a lot more unrest here in the United States. So I think the control of the situation will be much more difficult if we didn't have at least some kind of quarantine system.
Dr. Joe, one of the things we were talking about last night in this meeting, and I like to read a lot. And one of the things I came across was a study out of Arizona University that was discussing SARS, and it specifically referenced nebulizing colloidal silver solution as a potential treatment for SARS. And I mean, I'm not a doctor, but reading over the studies, is that something that seems like it might be viable?
Well, what did they find? I'm not aware of that study. What did that study find?
It found that it was, I want to say it was very highly treatable. I want to say it was like 99.9% effective whenever it actually was introduced to the actual virus.
So I just want to chime in here a little bit. So if we're talking about making silver in an aerosol capacity, then we're talking about little droplets of silver going into the lungs and actually trying to take care of the virus when it's trying to settle into lungs. Once it gets into the blood system, now we're talking about silver trying to travel through the blood. Silver is something that likes to mate with another compound.
If you're talking about
become inert.
If you're talking about silver ions, is that what you're talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're talking about silver ions, what is an ion? It's an electrically charged particle.
Right.
When it is essentially a member of the Lonely Hearts Club.
Or just floating around in space, like we're talking about aerosol.
And so what happens if you put silver ions into your body, what happens is that your body, your silver ions mate with chloride. You have natural chloride, sodium chloride in your body. And so if you have silver ions matching up with chloride, you have something called silver chloride. Silver chloride is actually an inert substance. It does not have a particular strong effect in the body. It's because basically what you've done is you've taken something that's an ionized, a charged particle, and you put it in the human body, and that makes it a stable particle of silver chloride. So in my opinion, right now we don't have I don't see any hard evidence for sure that we can count on that particular method to protect us against a viral infection.
I would have to say if that was effective, it would have to be almost an immediate situation, almost like my hand is exposed to a door handle, but then I use a bleach or a
Gotcha.
sanitized wipe or something that will immediately take care of it. Once it gets into the blood system, I think it's too late for something like that to take care of it.
Now, having told you that I'm a little skeptical of that result, as far as I'm concerned, please send me the link to that. I'm happy to look over any links with regards to viral disease. Remember, before there were antibiotics, there was silver, and we use silver silver, when you use it on open wounds, it helps prevent infection.
It is an amazing.
And before that, it was dirt. That's what men did.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna swallow some dirt. No, that'll help.
Hey, a couple questions. I heard from the CDC that the virus can actually, and maybe you told us too, it could be on a surface for 9 days and still be active.
That's correct. That's what I read also.
Okay.
So if that's the case, that's a lot longer than most viruses. Most viruses last a few hours or so, and really that's about it. But if it really can last on surfaces for 9 days, you really have to do a very good job of disinfecting. You have to have a plan of action to disinfect common areas where where there's a lot of traffic, food preparation areas. You have to plan out a sick room, and you have to have the ability to wipe it down with, let's say, a chlorine solution, soap and water, things like that. I think would be very, very important.
And there's,
I want to add one more thing. It also gives me pause for all the things that we have shipped from China that
Right.
get contaminated, that we are loaded up in Walmart, in Costco, in Kmart, and every other store, because we actually don't make anything in this country. That what are these things that we're buying and moving to the register and then taking home, that we're talking about 9 days of contamination?
Right.
What the heck are we bringing into this country and bringing home to our,
Right.
our families?
Think
This
of-
worries me.
Just think about it. Just going to the grocery store, you pick up an orange or an apple, and I'll bet that somebody else could easily have been looking at that apple or orange and see, well, I don't like this one. I'll take the other one. But that one could be the one that you actually wind up taking. That one winds up going into the cashier, in the little conveyor belt that goes to the cashier. The cashier touches it. And then if there's a bag boy that is bagging the groceries, that person touches it.
But in the end, at this point, we only know that the death rate is about 2%. So that is the good news for everyone listening, despite all of the, warnings and, oh my gosh, we can get it from here, we can get it from there. In the end, what we know statistically at this time, which may not be true, but as far as we know, the death rate is only 2%. And a lot of those people are older and they have issues. They have immune compromised issues, and they're not able to fight it off like normal people.
Right. And so that's part of what we're going to get into in a bit, Kyle. Now it's the actual effect of this is going to be, there are a lot of people going to die, but they're no longer making insulin in China right now. They're no longer making other drugs that Americans and people around the world take on a daily basis. We're going to run out of common drugs in America, is what the lady said, Rosemary, Dr. Hatfield, and others, because they're not making them. And we're on it's a supply chain of just in time, even for the drugs, and they're all made in China and their plants are closed down. So you're going to go to, I read a report today that Walmart and Target are saying there are things in their store that are going to run out and they won't be able to refill. And that's going to affect their economy big time. When it affects their economy, it affects ours, especially when Walmart, let's say 10% of the things in their store is running out, they can't sell it. They're not going to make money. And you go to the hospital and people, the drugs that they normally get, they're not getting the drugs.
Right.
Because they're out.
You're absolutely right. So let's separate these two things. First, we have, the market, and we're talking about stock market. But you know what? That affects very few people, and let's not really worry about that right now. Those tend to be more wealthy people who are invested in stock markets, and they're in companies, and those companies might not be able to produce profits, and that's a situation. The other situation that we're actually worried about are the common people who are trying to fulfill prescriptions. Now, I personally spoke to our pharmacist who we've known, Joe, for 20 years. He had a pharmacy at the hospital that we had practice at, and we've known him for several years. And I called him actually yesterday. And Forrest, I asked him, are you having any supply issues yet? Because specifically, I wanted to go ahead and advance buy medications, despite what insurance may or may not cover, because we need our medicine. My husband has issues with type 2 diabetes. We both have high cholesterol. We have all of the typical American problems that pretty much 99% of us over the age of 40 have. So I ordered a 90-day prescription. This is the situation that we all are facing. So we need to look at what medications are vital to your situation. You need to call your pharmacy and say, listen, instead of ordering a 30-day, you know what? I would kind of like to do a 90-day plan. Sometimes the pharmacy will go ahead and fulfill a 90-day. It's possible that your plan actually gives you a discount when you order a 90-day supply through their pharmacy plan. And we've gotten that through my plan, Cigna. They write to us and they say, listen, if you use our pharmacy supply plan and you order the 90-day, you're going to get a discount. So there are actually incentives to go ahead and order the 3-month plan. And I think everyone needs to take advantage of that. So we're, kind of prepared. If you got a few extra pills, hey, it makes you feel a little bit better when you go to sleep.
So also, Joe, the drugs that you take to be able to deal with Amy, I mean, if you run out of them.
I'm on them right now. Why do you think I'm drinking water?
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
I put vodka in these plastic water bottles.
Yeah.
It's a solid plan right there.
That's nice. That's cute.
That's cute.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I just want to tell you guys one thing, that we as a nation have made many mistakes. We've done so many good things. We've made a lot of mistakes. One of the mistakes that we've made is basically allowing China and other countries putting together so many products that we should have actually produced in this country.
Amen, brother.
And
amen, brother.
Right, there you go. We just don't
But
have.
Rosemary wrote a book on that called China RX.
Yes.
I looked to see if it's on audio. It's not. But any other things? Oh, so I did start searching for, because they said it was in the pipes, and we're like, oh my gosh, in the pipes. So water filters, the basic water filters off the shelves will not. They only do a 0.01. That's the standard Sawyer, the standard Lifestraw. But there are filters that can do a 0.02. And also Berkey's have a special, what do they call that one? Berkey's can do, yeah, maybe that's what it is. So there are some Berkey's that can do, because you need at least a 0.02 to be able to get the viruses purified.
Well, the virus, I think, is, and he mentioned this earlier, it's probably 0.1, 0.13.
Honestly, Forrest,
0.1.
let's just
0.1.
So we should boil everything then.
Boil. Start a fire, boil your water. Do not trust the water coming out of the tap. Do not trust water filters. Let's all just boil our water.
Yep.
We're going to
When
feel
it gets to
much
that,
better when we go to sleep that we drank boiled water rather than filtered water. And if you want to boil it and then filter it, I don't care. But just boil it for sure.
And I agree with you guys. There's not much going on. We got 15, actually 17 cases in America. Oh, it's not a big deal.
Right.
But here's where it becomes a big deal, is when one kid at a school on the basketball team has it because his mom, he got it from his mom. He plays a game, plays 2 games, plays a tournament, and the next Tuesday they go to school, and now 4 schools have it with 4 different people, and all of a sudden they shut the entire school system down, because then parents are going to go, oh my gosh, my kids can't go to school. I have to stay home with them. That's where it starts affecting us, where a small amount of people that get it could have a huge impact on the community.
Well, I'll tell you what really worries me. You know that in the United States, at least, and probably in most other countries, if a particular community is dealing with a crisis, the community surrounding it, in other words, if Fort Lauderdale, Florida was dealing with a terrible epidemic crisis, or if some place in California was dealing with a wildfire, you'd have all sorts of firefighters, for example, from several states converging on the area. If in Florida, you'd have people from Miami coming up, you have people from West Palm Beach, from Naples, Fort Myers on the other side of the coast. They'd be all converging to help out. And that's what happened many years ago with Hurricane Andrew, is we had all sorts of folks. That was a big hurricane that was down here in Miami, and we all came down from different communities to help out. But what happens if there's a wildfire? We'll use a wildfire example. There's a wildfire in Fresno. There's a wildfire in Sacramento. There's a wildfire in San Francisco. There's a wildfire in all of these adjacent communities, well, then those resources that ordinarily would go to help the one community have to be now drawn inward to help the people of that community. And so what happens is you have a breakdown in the amount of help that you get in situations where there might be mass casualties, where there might be a great deal of property damage, and in epidemics. And so that's something that is a major concern to me. And that would happen exactly from the beginning of that scenario is the story you just told.
And,
Right.
and let's not only add the people problem, let's also add the resource problem. We are already facing right now in this country a shortage of masks, coveralls, goggles, surgical and N95s, face shields, etc.
Right.
This is already happening. Despite what the public might think that we've got America here, we've got plenty of resources. I personally, for the past 2 weeks, have been desperately trying to get additional N95s, face shields, coveralls, goggles. You cannot imagine what I have faced. I have been on numerous sites. I've been on the largest website for hospital supplies, Medline. They do not have any of these. They are down. They don't know when they're ever going to come in.
It's going to be months before we get them back in.
They faced an order for 1 million masks.
1.5 million masks.
How about if you were
canceled?
How about if you were a company?
They are the largest hospital supply in the country.
Because a lot of the masks are made right in the hot zone, and they're not making them now.
They're not.
Exactly right. Exactly
So,
right. And that goes back to what I was
shut down.
goes back to
domino
effect.
Domino effect.
Let me
Well,
ask you guys
goes back
this.
to what I was saying. We're not producing enough. We don't produce enough things in this country anymore.
No.
And so if we're not
I'd like to
producing
produce
masks,
masks.
if we're not
I wanna
producing
start a
masks,
mask
not producing
company.
gloves, things like that, things are going, we're not the Chinese people's first priority when it comes to
No,
masks.
they're gonna hoard
Okay.
them.
They're going to save them for their own people
That's right.
that need the masks. They're not going to send them to the good old US of A.
Okay, Kyle, jump in, Kyle.
That being said, if this were to go full scale and it were to be pandemic spread throughout America, we don't have the healthcare workers. We know that already. What would you recommend for people staying put in home to try and treat this?
Basically, what you need to do is you need to put together a good epidemic sick room. So basically, I want you to pick, I don't want to come to your house tomorrow and see it all ready to go, by the way, but I want you to just start thinking about it, start having a plan of action, look around the house, look around the apartment and see where there would be the least traffic, what room would be the farthest from areas where, let's say, food is prepared, where the kids hang out, and plan that to be your epidemic sick room. And that's where you're going to put the sick people and separate them from the healthy people. You want to have some kind of barrier, hopefully a door, let's say, but I'll take plastic sheeting if that's all you got. You're going to want to have a workstation outside so people can dress up and do whatever it is that they have to put on, coveralls maybe, or even just gloves and masks and goggles. And you want to have a basin with some soap and water. So soap and water is what you want to use. By the way, soap and water is what you use at all times. If there's visible dirt on your hands, if your hands are visibly dirty, don't use hand sanitizer, use soap and water. If your hands are clean, hand sanitizer, soap and water, they're both pretty good. But the problem with people and hand sanitizer is this.
They don't put enough.
Peek. That's what they think is enough. Well, this is actually what's enough. Okay. You have to be able to have every bit of your hands totally wet. And I'm talking about in between the fingers, the back of your hands, your wrists, things like that. So you got to use a lot of alcohol or alcohol-based hand sanitizer to get the same effect as you would with soap and water. And that's only if there's no visible dirt.
Okay, question right in here. Hang on, question. So you say a sick room. but I'm not sure if you've heard this, and you probably have because you're keeping up with it as well. There are people that are getting this, going through the flu-like symptoms and everything, being released as being conditioned and labeled you recovered, and they're getting it again. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, because they have misjudged the amount of time that it takes for that virus to get out of the system. It takes about 24 days, and before they thought it was 14. So that doesn't surprise me that happens. I think in a lot of cases, people may be completely better by 14, but lately the current wisdom is that it takes a good 24 days before you can say that somebody is recovered. That's why there's so many cases and so few people that are documented as having recovered. Right. It's not because they're all going to die. It just means that they haven't hit that sweet spot yet with the amount of time after the infection.
And a perfect example of that is Ebola. I mean, you have to understand that when people started thinking about Ebola and then we started talking about Zika, you know, different statistics came up as people were recovering as to how long they were actually still contagious. And specifically about Zika is that you could recover from the symptoms, but it was still in your body. And people are told don't have a baby within 6 months of actually recovering from Zika. That's
true. And I also want to say I'm putting out an article on coronavirus in animals and pets and animals tomorrow on the website at doomandbloom.net. And dogs get coronavirus too. Usually it's a type of infection that affects puppies more. It's usually more of a gastrointestinal infection in dogs in most cases. But the big thing with that is dogs can carry the virus for 6 months after they recover.
What?
So Joe, what would you guys actually recommend though for someone taking some sort of medication? I've heard people talk about Tamiflu. We've heard people say vitamin C. What would you say?
I think that it's important to have a good immune system. Vitamin C, I think, helps that. Other antioxidants help. Berries, other foods are very helpful with regards to being a good immune booster. I think that's
I wouldn't give any
great.
credence at this moment to Tamiflu or any medications.
Right. Tamiflu.
I would be very wary about any kind of research that we've heard of antivirals mixed with HIV medications. I would be very wary of that. I think the person who is eating the right diet, who is exercising, taking care of themselves, getting vitamin D, getting vitamin C, your B vitamins, really having a good diet without things like preservatives and high fructose corn syrup.
Okay, guys, it was nice knowing you because I think I'm screwed.
Yeah, I just had to step aside there to die from laughing.
I'm screwed. Nice knowing y'all.
Going back on the nebulizer thing, whenever I was reading just a variety of different studies, if you guys ever, or I'm sure you're probably familiar with hypertonic saline, it could be nebulized into the lungs as well.
Yes.
Yes, we know. Yeah.
What would you think as far as that? Because my understanding is this is extremely detrimental to the lungs and it gets very deep inside there. Would that help clear things up somewhat?
I don't know.
I would actually have to see a scientific study. I mean, all of these things are sort of, you know, would this work? Would rosemary essential oil in a vaporized sensation, breathe deeply for 3 minutes work? We actually have to see scientific studies. And unfortunately, a lot of these things that you and I discuss, I mean, we're even honey, raw honey, tea, you know, these things, it's all sort of, you know, anecdotal. And it's really difficult to pin down to scientific studies. So it's hard to say yes or no.
Short answer, I would say no. And the reason why I would say no is very simple. Is the coronavirus basically latches onto the cells that line the lungs and it destroys them.
Mm-hmm.
And just giving hypertonic saline, I just don't think is strong enough of a treatment to really be able to reverse that process. And once those cells are dead, I mean, you're not replacing them very quickly. So
I think it's really all about the immune system. Either you're going to fight this or you're not.
I'm thinking maybe I should start chain smoking if I do get it to kill just kill everything.
Yeah,
Hey,
including yourself.
Yeah, right. You got to go some way.
So a lot of the experts were saying that Singapore is the place to watch because it's summertime there. One guy brought it in, and they can identify patient 0 in Singapore. He walked down the street, and 14 people somehow got it from him. Now there's 67 cases there, and it's in the middle of summer. I mean, it's like 80, 90 degrees there. And I know Trump just today or the other day said, hey, maybe this thing will just die down when the spring comes and summer comes. But that's why a lot of experts are in Singapore watching this, because if it expands and balloons out during the summer in Singapore, we got a real problem.
Well, you have to remember that Singapore has does a lot of business with China, and so there are a lot of folks that are traveling back and forth from China to Singapore and Singapore to China. I'm not sure that those flights have been canceled, or I'm pretty sure there's still. I'm pretty sure that there's still a lot of businesses being done between these two countries, and so. I can't, at the present time, they're not telling me that that's a community-wide epidemic, which means to me that these are all people that are coming from other places and then already infected and get showing up when they're infected for the most part. And then you have 1 or 2 that may be passing it human to human while in Singapore. But the virus is not originating in Singapore itself. It's originating in China, right?
Right.
And so basically what's happening, as far as I know, as far as I've read, basically what's happening in Singapore is you have a lot of people coming back and forth between China and Singapore. You have a number of them that are turning out positive. There's 1 or 2 cases in which they can document that there was human-to-human transmission in Singapore, but not that the virus itself originated necessarily in Singapore.
Which is the big thing. I think we need to get our head around 2 specific numbers. One is, what is the R-naught number? And I want you to explain that right now, honey.
Okay, the R-naught. R-naught is actually written as R and 0. If the 0 is put where you would put a comma after it. And what the R-naught number is this. You take a person who is infected with the coronavirus and you put them in a community with people in which none of the people have ever been exposed to the coronavirus before. How many people will that one infected person give the disease to? And that number, if it's 3, if that person gives it to 3 other people, that's the R-naught number. So that R-naught would be 3. It has to be more than 1 in order for an epidemic to be likely to start. The seasonal flu is about 1.5, maybe. Ebola was 2. This one is between 3 and 4. And which is, as far as we know, and it's very similar to its cousins, SARS and MERS, and the other coronaviruses. So this means that it's pretty darn contagious. Right. Now, to put that in perspective, measles has an R-naught number of 12 to 18. So anybody who spends any time near a person that has measles, or if you take that person and you put them in a community that's never been exposed to measles, that you could expect 12 to 18 other people to get it. Matter of fact, if you're in the room, just sitting in the room with someone that has measles, you probably have a 90% chance of getting it yourself unless you've been vaccinated.
And what's the R-naught for measles?
12 to 18.
Okay.
Absolutely horrendous. So we have this first number, which is the R-naught number, which is the infectious number, which is thankfully, praise Jesus, pretty low. The other number that we need to be concerned about is actually the death rate. And of course, right now, according to what we have learned, it is not so high either. And I want you to discuss that, honey.
Well, let me say this about number of cases, transmissibility, how contagious a disease is, and how deadly a disease is are 2 different things entirely. For example, Ebola has an R-naught number of about 2, which means that it can become an epidemic. And over the course of time, it became an epidemic in 3 different countries in West Africa in 2014. However, it had a death rate of about 40%. Zika virus, on the other hand, has a R-naught number of about 6, which is pretty darn contagious. But very few people died from it. There may have been some babies, fetuses that had head issues, or head deformations and stuff like that. So basically, there's a big difference between how contagious something is and how fatal something is. Now, in my opinion, the number of cases that we have going on are much, much more. We have many more cases than we have currently in terms of what we think the number of cases are. Honestly, it says 6. I'm not sure what was Forrest? What was today's?
It was like 65,000, I think.
Was it 65,000? What was Forrest? What was the number?
67,079.
Okay. So from my standpoint, as far as I'm concerned, the true number of cases is probably at least several times that much, maybe 10 times that much, maybe 20 times that much. That's how contagious this disease is. However, the fact of the matter that there aren't tons of bodies on the street,
right,
and that the entire place doesn't smell like a mausoleum,
right.
well, that means to me that not a lot of people are dying from it. The death rate would actually be less than 2%, but the transmissibility is probably higher than 3 to 4. An R-naught number 3 to 4.
There have been doctors, though, just to throw this out. There have been doctors, he's looking it up now, I'm sure, in China through Twitter that are estimating upwards over 20 to 25,000 people have passed away.
Okay, but if Joe,
where are they? Where are they putting them?
There's actually photos of them throwing things in dug and built out trenches over there. There's actually video of them doing that. Have you seen that?
I'm not saying
I don't disagree with you, but however, if the number of cases is 10 times, we're talking about 700,000, and the number of deaths is
it's still low. You're right.
It's still not a 50% death rate, a 25%
right.
death rate. Things that we really, really need to be like super, like I'm not going to the grocery store. I'm not leaving my house. I'm not letting my kids go into school. I'm not traveling. I'm not doing anything. We're not quite there yet. The numbers, despite what we imagine them to be and what they could possibly be, are not the death rate that we really need to be quarantining ourselves. Thank goodness, knock on wood, so far.
Now, Dr. Hatfield said that this thing is doubling every 6 point so many days. Did you see that?
I think it's probably doing it. It's probably more than that.
Okay.
And the reason why is because that you can't depend on these numbers that are being reported are, number one, they're probably only a certain number of tests that they can do on a daily basis. They just had to make up a test. And, for this in response to the appearance and the emergence of this new virus. And it's not that they immediately have 1 million of these tests ready to go at a moment's notice. I mean, if you notice for a number of days, that the number of cases went up by exactly 3,000 to 4,000 for a number of days earlier in the outbreak. And that was because there were exactly 3,000 to 4,000 tests probably that were available, or let's say, 5,000 or 6,000, assuming some came out negative.
Okay.
So now what they've done is they've changed the way they determine whether you have coronavirus, that you either have a positive test or you have signs on x-ray. There are 1 million more x-ray machines than there are tests available for coronavirus.
Yeah, they say the test is only 50-50 anyway.
Right. Right. There you go. But if they see evidence of pneumonia on x-ray, which there are x-rays machines in every hospital in China, then they're saying, okay, you're now a case.
Mm-hmm.
So they have been really fiddling with the numbers and doing pretty much whatever they want. When they made this recent change to the criteria, well, the cases jumped by 15,000 cases in that day.
And they don't even test the already sick that have major signs. They only test, they're not even testing them.
And those in the early part of the epidemic died actually weren't called coronavirus death. They were called viral pneumonia. Okay, so general viral pneumonia. So these people probably are not even in the statistics. So there are more deaths from that. But the way I look at it, you have cities with millions and millions of people. The city of Wuhan, China, has 11 million people in it. Yet if you travel around it, it's pretty much a ghost town for the most part. You wouldn't think it was a city of 11 million people. And so what everybody is doing, in my opinion, is they're hunkering down, they're bugging in. And even if they're sick, they figure they have a good 80% chance that this thing is going to blow over for them after a week or two, and you're going to be okay. And the only reason why people end up taking people to the hospital is because they need some kind of respiratory support, because they're so short of breath, they can't keep themselves oxygenated. And so for that reason, that's why I think the number of cases is way under that are reported is way under the actual number of cases.
Okay, here's what we have here.
A multiple of 10, maybe.
They're saying that 154,000 have been infected and 24,589 are dead.
It's way more than that infected, way more than that number infected. And if they're 24,000 dead, where are they?
Oh,
show me where they are. There are people with cameras.
Oh yeah, I've seen they're posted. I'm just telling you, they're posted. And there's even satellite photos of fields that all of a sudden have SO2 signatures of burning bodies. Yeah. Or they don't know it's bodies, but they were.
That would be an appropriate way to deal with bodies with large numbers of dead people in epidemic settings. However, let's see those pictures. I would love to see those pictures.
Yeah, I've seen some of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got to wrap this up. You guys. I mean, you got any other questions?
Probably the most pending question on my brain is, as long as you guys have been doing this and you've been part of the prepping community, I've known about you guys for years. I have your books.
Thank you.
How concerned are you with this?
I'm concerned.
Okay, I'm going to speak first. I am going to Costco tomorrow. We're pretty calm. We're pretty relaxed. We've been prepping since 2009. And the fact that we actually started prepping seriously was because of a future pandemic. We were worried about this exact scenario happening. So, we're pretty prepared. But, I just think if I get some fresh tuna and some fresh meats and pastas and sauces and just kind of, add a little bit extra to our preps, I'm going to feel a little bit more comfortable. We have covered solar energy. We've covered batteries. We've covered lighting. We've covered gardening. We've got lots of seeds and ways to grow food and take care of ourselves when we have to be independent. But I just want to kind of extra prep on top of that. I don't want to say I'm panicking, but I'm sort of looking at what does America look towards China to replenish. And when you go into Walmart, you got to look around, and if you look at the labels, a lot of it is China. A lot of our medications is China. A lot of our sources are China. So what do I need to get when they stop doing the manufacturing and then the stores are kind of empty on the shelves? So I want to be the first in line to replenish our sources. I am not in a hysteric. I have a daughter who's on vacation to California. I have one that lives in Chicago. I'm not alerting them. I'm not making them freaked out. I'm not making them come home. So we're actually okay, but I'm sort of thinking, I want to be prepared for the short term, not the long term at this point, but the short term. And I think that's what people need to think about.
I'll be really honest. As long as I've been in this, and I haven't had the sort of stage that you guys have, but I've been a mainstream prepper since probably 2006, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
I will confidently say this is the first time that I'm actually kind of at an elevated alert where I feel like this is actually something serious that requires daily attention.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you.
I do. I agree with you. I did that in 2009, and I went sort of crazy. And my FedEx delivery guy and my UPS delivery guy said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, it's hurricane preparations." And then I sort of calmed down. So I would say this is the most elevated that we've been since 2009. So I will agree with you there.
I certainly think that we have to really keep an eye on if there are community-wide outbreaks in the United States. If we start seeing that, then I think you really have to start planning out that sick room. You really have to be ready. Right now, you should be accumulating personal protection gear. Start thinking about some of the things that we were talking about today. You can find my list of things that I think you should have.
And if you don't buy them, I'm just going to tell the audience here, if you don't buy them in the next few weeks, because they're flying off the shelf, you can still find some on eBay. And I promise you, I bought many boxes yesterday off of Amazon. And I called the company and verified that they had them. If you don't buy that stuff now, get the goggles, get the gloves, the suits. The amazing thing is we're in a we live in a capitalistic society. If everything dies down in a month, you can take it all back and get your money back. But I mean, you can. But if you don't buy it now, you're not going to get it for 3, 4. If this goes on, you'll never get one.
That's true. So you need to have a lot. Well, I've always said that you've got to be medically prepared. It's not just beans and bullets. It's beans, bullets, and bandages. So make sure you always have a good medical kit. Have a kit that you would find useful in an epidemic setting. Have a room that you would put people in. If you're on the road, have an extra tent. If everybody if you are bugging out, man, and you're on the road with your mutual assistance group and there's one tent per person, well, when somebody gets sick, well, who's going to be the hospital tent? Right. Whose home are you going to take away?
That's right.
To make the hospital tent. Yep. So, you got to think about things like that, because otherwise, you get a lot of resentment at a time when everybody's got to pull together. So these are just some of the things that we think about that I hope that you guys are thinking about out there.
Yep. So guys, I want to, this was not planned. They actually text me while we were recording live and said, "Hey, we see that you're live. Can get
is that how it started?"
I did. It was my fault. Happy Valentine's Day.
Let us in. So right now I have your website up. This is Doom. They're Doom. That's Dr. Joe and Nurse Amy, and they have a website called doomandbloom.net. They are a medical doctor, and also a nurse practitioner, and they have all kinds of things. They have articles they write all the time on their website. They also have a store that you can buy stuff. They've written one book called the Survival Medicine Handbook, and the other one is called is about antibiotics.
Alton's Antibiotics and Infectious Disease.
Yep.
And they have YouTube videos explaining and showing you, or at least on their site, on how to put the mask on, how to take it off, how to put the suit on, how to take it off. Correct? You have all that stuff for free, right?
Absolutely.
Free.
Yep.
And we have over 1,200 articles, videos, and podcasts on the website. So feel free to go there. Lots of free content. And we have an entire line of medical kits and personal protection gear for whatever needs you might
And you guys have been doing this for a while. You do a good service to the prepping and survival homesteaders and tiny home community. But we want to thank you. We thanks for calling in. Kind of makes me feel special when you do things like this.
We're blessed. We're
Forrest,
blessed.
we love you. We'll do anything to help you and everyone who listens.
Right. And all our friends at PrepperNet, and God bless you. We've been blessed to have the confidence of folks like you for a long time, and we really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, guys. I will be calling you guys. You know, we'll talk later. Appreciate it.
Okie doke.
Kisses.
Thanks, guys.
Kisses and hugs.
Valentine's Day.
Okay.
I don't know. Kisses and hugs.
Okay. See you guys.
All right.
Bye.
Like the little chime at the end.
Oh, the little chime. They're gone.
Yeah.
That's what it says there.
Gotcha. So yeah, that's it. Coronavirus.
So sum it up. It's not serious yet, but we know economically and products on the shelf and medication is going to be heavily involved in this because they're not making it anymore. They're not making drugs over there right now. They're not making N95 masks. They're not making iPhones. I like iPhones.
So what you're trying to tell me is we should learn to make our own iPhones and our own drugs. Can we make our own drugs?
No,
is that illegal?
I'm going to be a Democrat. We probably should not do that.
Oh,
we should make America great again and bring that stuff back.
no.
Is that what you're
I don't
saying?
think there's enough time for that.
Well, there is not enough time.
I'm going to be honest with you though, and I totally respect their their knowledge and everything. I'm still going to get a nebulizer and still going to do colloidal silver.
Yeah.
And I sent you the articles to go ahead and send it along. There was another article that was better sourced, but I cannot find it now because it was wee hours in the morning when I'm sitting up and, not hysterical, but trying to research. And I'm going to continue. I'm probably going to go ahead and buy some hypertonic solution for a nebulizer as well, because that's what I'm reading in the medical community. Some people are suggesting could show benefits, not of destroying the actual virus, but of getting it out of your lungs.
So, so you're saying anything you can do to build up your immune system as well.
Absolutely.
And so colloidal silver, I actually have a colloidal silver generator.
Yep. Here's the thing though. You need to make sure that it's the proper source of silver, because not all silver is going to be good for your lungs. You want to get it and make sure it's processed correctly. And if you were to look at different companies side by side under a microscope, we'll say certain ones have better particle breakdown that will actually get into.
With a guy that makes mine, his name is Odie. His name is Odie. He's part of our PrepperNet group in Raleigh. We have groups, by the way, all over the United States, and meetups every month. Odie is considered the genius at colloidal silver generators. He makes one and he gave it to me. And it does everything you're supposed to do. And even people that sell it, you go to these like prepper camp and places, they go, oh yeah, Odie knows what he's doing.
What I will say from the studies that I've read, they were using a 10 ppm solution to nebulize.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's because you can look at colloidal silvers and you'll see different ppms, different parts.
You can adjust it on this one as you do it. Yes. Yeah. So you can do it.
So you don't need to do like 1,000 ppms or just, try and inhale a silver coin.
And he tells you in the video on how to do it. It actually, you use your own jar, like a mason jar, and you make it in. It's called the Silver Puppy, if I'm not mistaken, if you guys are interested.
Is he blue?
No, he's not blue. And he's been doing this all his life. And he has sold hundreds of 100,000 of these.
It's pretty impressive. And here's the thing I will say. It's not,
that's $1 million plus that this guy sold on this thing.
If I can get medical treatment, I will get it.
But would you go to the hospital if there's
if there are
500
lines,
people?
Exactly. If there are lines, we already know the healthcare system is strapped. If there's lines of people, I'm not going to go.
I'm not going either.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try and do what we were talking about. Some of the things we talked about last night. Although I don't really care about the vitamin C much.
So there's a book and it's called Fewer Mouths to Feed.
I thought you were saying Fewer or something like that.
It's called by Robert Bradyansky. It's a pandemic and it happened. It starts right here in Charlotte. It scares the crap out of me. But anyway, it's a good book. It's on Amazon. Good friend of mine. But it's not, it's nothing to freak out about right now, but it's something to prepare for. And so some of the things is getting the medical supplies, but also getting food and getting water in your house. Because if there's a lockdown, your kids don't go to school, 10 people in your little community get it, you're not going outside. You don't want to go to the grocery store. Don't be one of them.
Yeah, no, because there's going to be people who, regardless, they're just going to go ahead and go out and they're going to do their thing. And we know, especially being where we're at, if you say something like winter storm, everyone goes out, causes chaos.
Right.
All the milk and bread's gone, even though your power's going to be out for 3 days. So if something like this happens, I'm not going to be out there. I'm not going to Costco's. I'm not going to Walmart or anything like that because there is going to be chaos. And that's the difference between here and China that concerns me.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. It's not even so much actually contracting this, because if the rate of death is really that low, I'm not too worried, because I feel like, look at me. Which one of us?
I'll kill you. Okay, so I looked on the Drudge Report for an update on what's going on in San Diego, and it's not even on the Drudge Report.
No.
This came from Alerts USA. Alerts USA is a service that you can purchase. If you go, won't you help us out? Go to Alerts USA/PrepperNet. It's one of the best services that I've got, but the alert said that they've declared a health emergency, local emergency in San Diego, because there's 2 more cases. And when you do that, I'm just thinking they probably may have been in contact with a lot of people. So any last words? Any other thing we need to discuss? Prepare for things month, 2 months, 3 months down the road, though. Your medications. Everyone listening to this need to go get medications from the doctor next week. If your doctor says no, then you find a new doctor. Right? Now, the doctor may prescribe it, but your insurance may not cover it. Well, guess what? You pay for it. Also, with N95 masks, you go to eBay and you're going to be ticked off because people have jacked up the prices. I'm not going to buy that's double the price of what Walmart had it.
Just go ahead and buy it now, because you're not going to get a better price. Because
quit bitching and buy it.
Yeah, retail arbitrage. People are going to go out, buy all of them in a local radius, and then they're going to go ahead and resell them for 10 times the cost, because once the panic starts, they're going to make their money.
And if you're sitting there complaining because that's 3 times more than it was, then if you actually need it, you're not going to have it, and it's going to be a mistake you'll regret.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
and the only other thing I would say is, if it does start to spread, and I just noticed, because being in the environment that I'm in, I've read a range of reports from no symptoms at all to sniffles and sore throat starting out with it. Don't go to work. Please don't go into work.
Right.
If you start to feel sick with everything that's going on, stay home. Do everybody a favor.
Yeah.
I work with people who would come to work.
Yeah. You work in retail.
In hell. Yeah.
But I mean, it's not retail, but it is kind of retail.
Specialty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I work from home.
But you travel a lot.
I do.
To very populated cities.
I do. Well,
and you go out to eat a lot.
I do. I'm saying I do too many times here. That is true.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm gonna die.
You're gonna have to start taking your ham and cheese sandwich on the road with you.
Yes, I do travel a lot, so I can cut that down though, because I'm the CEO of a company called Sunoven, sunoven.com. We make solar appliances, and I could control how much I travel.
Yeah, I don't really have that option. If I have to go into work, it's bye.
Because I work from home now, or work from a coffee store now.
I mean, I did want to ask him that. I respect them and everything that they do, and I didn't want to throw out too many questions. But that's one question. It's like, when do you call it? Because for me, if there's 300-400 people I know that are in the infected area of where I live,
right,
I'm done.
Yes, I agree.
I'm done. And I'm honestly done to the point where I'll say I'm done, and I'm going to quarantine myself for a certain period of time, make sure I don't have it. And then.
So we live we've got 1 million people around.
million plus.
Yeah, I'm way more south than you though. I'm way. I mean, they're still down the road from me.
I mean, you can tell it in the voice.
Yeah.
I didn't mean deep. I
Yeah.
meant south. Like, hey, y'all.
But when they shut schools down, that is probably when I'm out.
I feel like that's even too far gone. I feel like I want to do it before schools.
So, yeah.
If I waited that long, I feel like it's been too much time.
But thank goodness we don't have any in the Carolinas at this point
that we know of. There are some pending cases.
Yeah.
That we hopefully don't
know.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So, anything else, or
that
we need
long.
to wrap it?
That was long.
Well, we didn't expect.
How many people are still watching? We still got a few people watching.
Yeah.
There we go.
You go.
Yeah. They probably fell asleep.
So we had supplies. I don't even know if did I use them but anyway.
We should start holding up like, hey guys, once we hit 10,000 subscribers, get an N95 mask.
Yeah. I got them for sale for, but Doom and Bloom, they write some great articles. They're on top of things. Go check their site out. Alerts USA, help PrepperNet out. So what we do is we help preppers unite with other preppers nationwide. And we're in 65 cities. We have meetups. We do webinar. We do all kinds of things. We are the bomb. At least that's what I like to say. Are we the bomb?
Those are like words you're not supposed to say around your phone.
Oh, that's true. Oh,
you just got done talking about bombs, groups across the country. You sound like a terror cell at this point.
We're not that.
No, we're not.
No,
you're not.
No,
I'm not for sure.
Yeah. You know, where's my list of things not to say? I just kind of put that away. But we're at PrepperNet.com. PrepperNet.com. We call this Prepping Academy because a lot of times we try to teach people. And
just to point out real quick, and I'm totally interrupting you, but just like that last comment, someone in Charlotte.
Okay.
And how do they do this? Because PrepperNet is literally across the country. Where do you want to go to get in on this?
We have, you go to PrepperNet.com and there we have a list. You join. You meet other preppers. You meet them locally, not on the internet.
Some of them are really weird.
What? We had our meeting last night. So with all this said, let's see if I can I don't even want to share that because you'll see things I don't want to show you.
They said that with whatchamacallit, we remind them of Mythbusters. Fun fact, those guys actually don't get along.
Well, don't tell us that. It's going to destroy everything.
Well, we get along.
Yeah.
I buy lunch, then you buy lunch, then I buy lunch, then I buy lunch, then no.
And then we put guns together. We do all kinds of things together.
I do that pretty much. So you tapped a few times.
Well, I watched you. I was learning. I never built a bazooka. Okay.
It was not a bazooka.
It was a
very legal
AR pistol.
AR. Yes.
AR pistol. It was an AR pistol.
Yes.
I got a brand new and it's sweet, guys.
From Palmetto
I haven't
State
shot
Arms.
it. I haven't even shot it yet.
Yeah. Brand new.
Yeah. So still waiting on a few parts for that thing. My sights, my flip ups.
Oh, I need to bring you that.
Oh yeah.
The riser. I keep forgetting.
Sorry, we're taking care of personal business here a little bit.
No bigs.
I think that's it. Till the next show.
Next week, sometime.
Next week. I'm gonna be traveling.
Yep.
So we can do it through the software.
Oh, we could do that.
The same software.
Okay, do it on my phone.
Okay. Hey, thanks for joining us. Prepping Academy is our podcast. You can find it on all podcasts, Prepping Academy. And we are PrepperNet, PrepperNet.com. We also have a Facebook page.
Yep.
And if you would like to support, I can't even, I was going to
honestly, like every YouTuber says it, but just subscribe, hit the little button. We won't bother you that much.
Yeah.
If you have questions, ask us. This is pretty chill.
Yeah.
You know?
So, okay, guys, thank you. Peace out. We did video, by the way. This is first time in a long time. But peace out. Y'all take care.